This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. It is Wednesday, December 7th. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories of the day. The Obama administration has approved Governor Asa Hutchinson's waiver for his Arkansas Works program, his version of the private option, though the waiver offers stricter requirements than he wanted in providing assistance to employers who offer insurance for their lower-income employees. Hutchinson said the waiver's limitation will reduce the number of employers that participate. Senator John Boozman hopes to learn more Thursday about allegations of significant financial waste at the Pentagon, and U.S. Representative French Hill said Congress must take part of the blame for blocking even modest attempts to reform the Department of Defense. The Washington Post published a story about a report identifying $125 billion in wasted money related to numerous inefficiencies at the Pentagon. Officials also are accused of burying the report to avoid giving Congress a reason to reduce the defense budget. The 5 members of the Medical Marijuana Commission who will control regulations for the cultivation and distribution of the plant in Arkansas were announced Wednesday by Governor Asa Hutchinson, Speaker of the House Jeremy Gillum, and Senate President Jonathan Dismang. Hutchinson appointed Dr. Rhonda Henry Tillman of Little Rock. Gillum appointed Dr. Stephen Carroll, a pharmacist from Benton, and Travis Story, a Fayetteville attorney. Dismang appointed James Miller of Bryant and Dr. J. Carlos Roman, a Little Rock physician. And those are your top stories for this Wednesday, December 7th. You can keep up with all of the latest business and political headlines each and every day at our website at talkbusiness.net. Still to come, we'll find out what DHS Director Cindy Gillespie thinks of the potential new Federal Health and Human Services Secretary, U.S. Representative Tom Price. She's worked with him before. We'll also dive into some new manufacturing news, and Steve Bronner joins me for 4 minutes, 4 questions.
First Security is here. Only here. So that means we're here, here, and here. Even here. And definitely here. Because here is where we want to be for you. First Security Bank, only in Arkansas.
Arkansas's DHS Director Cindy Gillespie has worked in Massachusetts, Georgia, and across the country before coming to Arkansas. With President-elect Donald Trump recommending Dr. and U.S. Representative Tom Price to the post of the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, Gillespie has high expectations for changes that will result in more local and state control. Representative Tom Price is going to be the Donald Trump's HHS Secretary nominee there. He still has to get through his approval process, which is not a guarantee. Sure. You know Tom Price, though. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Tom Price.
I always think of him as Chairman Price, so it'll be interesting to call him Secretary Price. He's, as you know, a Georgia congressman. I am from Georgia originally, and he's also a physician. And I met him initially working on some issues in Georgia, but then he became very serious about developing an alternative to the Affordable Care Act, an alternative to Obamacare. And so he is one of the few who has actually developed a very comprehensive repeal and replace plan. And I did get to know him and work some with him as he was working on that legislation. An extremely thoughtful person. He's a physician, so he thinks in terms of what policy is going to do to the delivery of the actual delivery of health care. But he also, I found him to be extremely, something I really liked. He, coming from the rural South, he understands that rural health care needs are different. And he really looks to give states flexibility, give states option. And he also focuses very heavily on things that we like. Letting a state do work requirements. How do you use health care to incentivize people to take advantage of work opportunities, education opportunities, those sorts of things. Yes, I think you'll see him as someone, judging from his legislation the way he's always been, someone who wants everyone to have some sort of ability to get health care and health coverage, but he doesn't believe that Washington should dictate how that gets done. And he does believe very much in individual choice around it.
Well, and he's talked publicly about HSAs. He's talked about tax credits.
Exactly.
Good policy ideas.
Very good policy. To me,
Some of that stuff is very difficult sometimes to manage.
It is, but to me it's very good policy ideas because when he talks about tax credits for health insurance, he, quite bluntly, is not talking about individuals getting a tax credit in order to buy health insurance from the government. He's saying, all right, if people at a certain income level, instead of us saying you must go buy this policy through this exchange that is the policy we set up for you, he says, we'll give you a tax credit, you buy your own policy, you pick your own health care needs. And
What if somebody doesn't, well, they have to buy the health insurance to get the tax credit is the bottom line.
Exactly.
So they may choose not to buy health insurance though.
and then not get a tax credit.
That doesn't help with coverage though, does it?
If, and again, he comes from a standpoint where, like I said, he does believe that the individual gets a choice in the matter and not that Washington should be dictating exactly what everybody should do and buy.
Also, too, he has talked too about federal money for high-risk pools, and that is obviously a very difficult segment of the population to find coverage. I think, too, there's been discussion, I don't know if Representative Price has been the one driving this, but there's been a lot of talk about, kind of delineating state lines there and not having that as something that is an obstacle. Do you support that?
I think it's something that if Arkansas gets the flexibility to be able to look at all of our programs with these changes coming, I know it's something that we'll all look at, how those areas could work. Again, it comes back to being very state specific. I don't think you will see him and the Republican Congress saying you must do it this way, but instead saying, all right, here is an option for states, if it works for them, to be able to develop a high-risk pool, put parts of the population or parts of those bills into that risk pool.
Yeah.
So if we go down a road here of getting the flexibility to really look at our Medicaid programs and how we're delivering them, those are all ideas that are on the table to be looked at.
And Arkansas does have a national reputation, you and I've talked about this before, as being on the cutting edge of some of this activity. Do you think that the federal government will come to Arkansas and ask for more input in terms of what's going on?
I know they will. They already are.
They already are?
Yes.
Well, you could share a little bit with me on that.
No, it's just Governor Hutchinson, as you know, has already been, he was elected, I think it was 2 weeks ago, to be vice chair of the Republican Governor's Public Policy Committee. The RGPPC is where the Republican governors come together to develop health policy. So he's already looking and working on developing national health policy ideas, which will be brought by the Republican governors to the Republican Congress and the new Republican administration. So through our governor, as well as through a lot of the other efforts, Arkansas is going to have a big voice.
That's DHS Chief Cindy Gillespie. You can catch her full interview on our website at talkbusiness.net. A quick time out. We'll touch on the latest manufacturing news from our roundup. Plus, Steve Bronner joins me for 4 minutes, 4 questions. We're back after this.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
I did.
Circuits turn on the lights by making a connection, by closing the loop. At Entergy, we believe our economy is circular too. What you put in comes back. So we invest billions in new infrastructure, which helps attract new industry, which helps create new jobs. We partner with local communities to electrify the economy, and together we power life. Entergy.
If it's made in Arkansas or America, it's probably something we want to know about. Let's run through the latest news from our manufacturing microsite, brought to you by Arkansas Manufacturing Solutions. Officials with the Associated General Contractors of America visited Arkansas to push for a federal civil works program under President-elect Donald Trump that would invest over $1 trillion in the nation's aging infrastructure and bring more construction jobs to Arkansas and the nation. The contractors group said the number of jobs in the construction, mining, and logging sectors in Arkansas has declined by 3%, or 1,700 workers in the last year, but a civil works program could reverse that trend. Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Randy Zook said globalization will continue in the administration of President-elect Donald Trump. He also expects marijuana legislation to take the oxygen from the room for at least the first 30 days of the state's 91st General Assembly. Read more of Zook's comments to the Fort Smith Regional Chamber of Commerce, including his outline of the Chamber's agenda for this session at talkbusiness.net. And the U.S. economy surprisingly picked up momentum in the third quarter as consumer and government spending improved and other key sectors of private industry improved just ahead of the fall elections, according to the second estimate released last week by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Quarterly GDP growth for the third quarter was 3.2%. That was higher than the first initial estimate of 2.9%. Those headlines are updated daily, so if you want to keep up with the latest on the manufacturing front, you can check them out online at talkbusiness.net. Scroll to the bottom half of our homepage. You'll see the full display of our microsites, including manufacturing. When we come back, Talk Business and Politics, Steve Bronner joins me for 4 minutes, 4 questions right after this.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
So much of what Arkansas state employees do goes unnoticed, yet they have a positive impact on our citizens each and every day. The Arkansas State Employees Association recognizes individuals for excellence in the workplace and leadership in their communities. Congratulations to Deanna O'Malley of Texarkana, the Outstanding State Employee of 2016. We'd like to say thank you to all state employees for all of your hard work and dedication.
Time now to do 4 minutes, 4 questions. Steve Bronner joins me. We're here to talk about a variety of things in the political sphere. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. All right, I'm coming to you first. What does the state of Arkansas know today about federal health care, particularly how it may impact Arkansas Works, now that we have a new Trump administration coming in?
Well, the governor is meeting. He met with Sylvia Burwell, who is the Health and Human Services Secretary, on Monday to make his case that, we kind of need to have this Arkansas Works waiver taken care of because it starts in less than a month. And so he says he's very close. That's what we're really waiting on right now. We're still dealing with the Obama administration and trying to get the waiver for Arkansas Works to continue next year. At that point, really it's waiting to see. Donald Trump and the Republicans have control of everything in Washington. They promised to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with something. We don't know what. So I think we're kind of in a waiting game right now on health care as far as what's happening federally.
Is that going to stall Arkansas Works going forward?
No, Arkansas Works is, the law of the state right now. What we're really waiting on is the waiver from the Obama administration. Then we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the session.
All right, lots of waiting.
Yep.
Your turn.
Okay, Governor Asa Hutchinson has created an Office of Transformation.
Transformation.
Is the word transformation a little strong?
No, of course it's not too strong, Steve. Come on now. Transformation, look it up in the dictionary. It means to transform things, to transform state government. The governor's Office of Transformation is going to look at ways to build and find more efficiencies in state government. I think it's a little overdue, quite frankly, in this age and day of technology. There should be some sort of guiding force to say, let's look for ways to save taxpayer money. Let's look for ways to make services more efficient for citizens and give them more opportunity to access. It's there. I think it's time. I think it's a good thing. All right, lots of issues on tap for the legislative session. Which one's going to be the most time-consuming?
Well, I think the most time-consuming and difficult will be to basically create a regulatory structure for medical marijuana at a time when basically the Attorney General of the United States designee is very much opposed to marijuana, Jeff Sessions, and other states have gone through this process. It's very difficult. As the governor's spokesperson, J.R. Davis, has said several times, basically Arkansas is creating a mini FDA, Food and Drug Administration, to try to work through all these issues. So it's going to be very difficult. A lot of things are going to depend on it, and I think that will be really the most difficult and time-consuming thing. In some ways, it'll overshadow a lot of the rest of the session.
All right, good to go. I don't disagree with you.
All right. So you recently interviewed Cindy Gillespie, who is the Department of Human Services Director, and y'all discussed the foster care crisis. Will it be solved by the changes that she's discussing?
Well, I don't think you ever solve the foster care crisis. I think it's like zero unemployment. You're never going to get to zero. I don't think you're ever going to get to where there aren't foster children. Will some of the things that they've talked about doing, particularly adding more caseworkers, being able to analyze some of the cases a lot more accurately, will that help the situation? I definitely think it will help the situation, but it still comes down to finding homes for some of these kids. It still comes down to repairing some of the damaged homes that these kids and the circumstances that they're living under. And I'm not sure that that's government's job to do all that fixing, quite frankly. What do you think?
It's, as you said, we're talking about one of the most difficult things to do, which is why so many other segments of society avoid it. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, it's clear that there are some policy changes that have happened that have resulted in this surge in foster care children. But so there are policy changes that can be made to kind of repair that. But ultimately, there's going to be a segment of society that needs help, and government's not that well designed to help to do it. But then there's not a whole lot of others who are ready to step in.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll monitor that debate closely because it'll be a big one in the next legislative session. He is Steve Bronner. He covers politics for us. As always, good to have you with us.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And that is all. We appreciate you tuning in today. Tune in tomorrow for another edition of Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you then.